Hello Tesla fans, here we are, finally, version 11. The single stack, second coming of Christ, cure for cancer, FSD update is finally here in Canada, finally rolling out. And we're gonna take it here for its very first spin to see how it goes. I'm super pumped for this one. It's single stack, which means, to anybody that doesn't know, it's the removal of autopilot on highways, which is what Tesla uses right now, and applying FSD, which is just this what is used in all these streets here, and applying that onto highways. There's obviously a whole bunch more of general improvements that go into, you know, FSD like this than just the replacement of highways. So this one's a big one. This one has been hyped up quite a bit, and I'm super pumped to see how it goes. This isn't just some easy take it for a spin drive on my first attempt. This is, I'm gonna challenge it as much as I can, especially on known scenarios that I know FSD has struggled with and autopilot has struggled with in the past. So I mean, the first part here is going to be pretty challenging for it. Right on the bridge, they're doing massive amounts of construction here in Ottawa to cross the Quebec to Ontario side of the Champlain Bridge. So just the drive this morning on the old software before I updated it, it did have issues in the sense that it was slowing down a lot for the construction, and I don't blame it. It was like super narrow drives on the weekend with it. I physically saw nice move around the car there. I physically saw people's side mirrors get ripped off from just drivers not judging the lane properly. So hopefully FSD does not rip my side mirrors off. But also hopefully it doesn't slow way down like it did earlier this morning. I would rather it slow down than rip off my mirrors, let's put it that way. And yeah, we're gonna see how that goes. So we're coming up to the bridge now. You can see all the constructions signs popping up. This has been a huge headache trying to cross lately with this construction. You're basically adding 30 minutes on your time of having to go anywhere just because of it. It's interesting to look at just even the visual differences on it. It's quite striking. They've definitely added a whole bunch. They removed the red lines, which, you know, I kind of miss having those nice red lines. I kind of enjoyed seeing that, but from a user experience on a broad stroke, I can see why they did it. Interesting to see creep walls and lines attached to this, I guess, tentacle. It's a much thicker tentacle guideline now that it's showing up. Yeah, even the details on the bicyclists are a lot more. All right, we're entering this construction. It's going quite fast into it. Slowing right down here for this. Yeah, it's going 25 in it. It's going real slow here. I wasn't expecting anything else. All right, we're gonna give it accelerator to go past it. You can see it kind of struggling with that tentacle line. I am pushing on the accelerator to get it through it though. We do have traffic behind us, and like I said, it's been quite the headache for locals lately, so the last thing I want to do is stress them all out by a slow moving car. But it is doing it. It's giving plenty of space on either side. I'm not fearful of my side mirrors going anywhere, so that's good. It's just the speed at which it wants to do it. I'm going to try here, taking off the gas. Yeah, it goes way down. Interesting too that it's not giving the ultrasonic sensor kind of bumper lines, the red and yellow lines that it throws up when it senses close proximity. I wonder if it just has done away with ultrasonic sensors completely. I'll have to test that at another time. But we've cleared the construction just fine. It steered through it, albeit at a much lower speed than I would have liked. And I've taken my foot off the accelerator, given Tesla full control back over on my speed, and we're carrying on. Look at the detail that it's added. I'm sorry, I'm really enjoying this. Looking at it, just the intersections of the lines it's throwing up, the detail of it all. It's quite striking. It feels like it's been a resolution boost. It's probably not. But even just on the bikes and the pedestrians, much more detail there. Yeah, it's pretty impressive. And also these nice kind of chevrons that it adds. Gives me as a driver more information on what the car is doing, right? The chevrons show up showing that the car is slowing down. That's nice to see. Now, usually in this area, it's throwing up weird turn signals that make no sense all the time. I'm probably gonna jinx it, but it hasn't done the weird turn signal thing here at all, which is great. Great to see that, because obviously that throws mass confusion on people around me. So, I mean, fixed. Well done. Yeah, I mean, this is a vast improvement visually for me, definitely. Very nice completion of turn, and then moving into the left turn before, you know, parked cars show up. That's nice. That was a flawless left turn. It committed into the lane, even though there was another car already committed into the turn. As that car committed in forward, the Tesla pulled up to take its place, and then made the turn when it felt safe. Very smooth. That's probably the smoothest left turn I've ever experienced in FSD. That was extremely human-like. Again, very impressed so far. I'm sure I'm gonna find a lot of faults and issues and stuff moving forward. That's kind of the nature of the beast when you're beta testing something, but I mean, already this is a huge improvement. We'll see how it does on the highway. We're coming up to the highway soon here. There's one more challenging right-hand turn to do before that. Yeah, so far so good. All right, here's that challenging turn I was talking about. It's challenging in the sense that there is a lot of traffic happening going through this intersection. You have to take a right turn, and then because you have to get on the highway, you have to immediately go left across 3 or 4 lanes. Otherwise, you're gonna miss your turn in. The last time here in my last video, if you haven't watched, what it did, it made the turn properly, but it turned, and then it committed to finishing the turn by trying to get all the way in the right lane as much as it could, before then trying to cross whatever 4 lanes. Because it made that right turn and pushed all the way right, it had to cross probably 5 lanes in order to do it. So it made it harder on itself, when, you know, I would love to see it kind of projecting that it needs to cross all those lanes, so that in mid-turn it also crosses lanes. That would be the you know, cherry on the top human way of doing it. I understand that it needs to, you know, legally make the right turn and complete that right turn, before it tries to make its next maneuver. So we'll see how it goes here. Pulling up to the stoplight. Let's see if it throws up creep wall. Yeah, throws up the creep wall. Oh, it kind of went ahead of when it should have done, but it did it. It didn't go fully right, which is good. Now it needs to go left. It needs to go left, and it needs to go left again, real quick. It did it. Ha! It did it without kind of screwing itself over by pushing itself far right. Yes, the initial right turn, I mean, I would have waited for that car coming into us to complete its turn to give it the right of way. It needs to increase speed here. I'm going to do that manually. It's got to get over left here. You're running out of lane, Tesla. Are you going to do it? All right. You did it. You did it. I would have loved to see the commit first. I don't know why it thinks it's 80. Maybe there's a construction sign or something. But it did it. Now before, I've had it where it didn't get into the left lane again, which it needs to, because this is a turn lane. This needs to end. So it needs the edge. Throwing up the arrows now. Last time it wouldn't do it. I might have to take over. It needs to get over a lane here. Yeah. And it didn't do it again. Okay, a little bit of illegal maneuver. That's probably map data. Here. The lane ended on the highway. It did not properly merge onto a highway. Probably poor map data. That's another feature that I learned about version 11. Whenever you take over, it gives you the option to actually give some feedback. So that's what I did there, which is neat. I know in older patches, you could press a little like caption button here on the top right. They removed that for anybody except for the original beta testers, if I'm not mistaken. So I only had it very briefly, and then it got taken away from me. So it's nice that I have a way to give feedback now again. So yeah, back on that turn lane, that lane ended. It needed to get over. It didn't do it. I'm assuming poor map data. That part was a known issue for me. I would have loved to see a fix with that, but it didn't happen. Let's try to commit to the left, to get into the left lane one more time. It's kind of struggling a bit because the traffic beside us is going so much faster. It needs to speed up while it's doing the change, and it did it. That was a perfect one. It needed to speed up to not mess up the people behind us, and it absolutely did that. In autopilot, what it had to do was what it used to do was very robotic, I found. It would do things in segments. It would change the lane and then speed up. Not in this kind of fluid motion that, you know, us humans do and what a self-driving car should be doing. Yeah, I mean, that was great that I was able to do that. It showed great restraint in waiting for that gap where it felt it could both turn and accelerate. And in the end, it completed that for sure. I mean, that was beautiful. You can see the visualization is much different here from autopilot. If you go back and look at some of my older videos to compare, or just Google image to see what it looked like, just basic autopilot, like the detail now is crazy. It's showing all the lanes, all the cars in all the lanes that it can see. Wow. Even cars in the opposite lanes. I mean, that's impressive. That's beautiful to look at. All right, here's another somewhat known issue, is this lane splits in a Y-junction, depending on what highway you want. To see if it sticks to the right one or if I'm gonna have to correct it like I usually do. Yeah, it did it! Okay, so it fixed it. I did not have to correct it and push it into into the right side of that Y lane. I'm gonna speed up here because I'm in the fast lane. I would have liked to, I mean that's beautiful. You gotta love seeing that. The next one that is a known issue is coming up to the exit, which is 7 kilometers from now. No, sorry, not 7 kilometers, 4.5 kilometers, is that it waits too long to get into that proper turn lane, right? Ideally, to me, it's like, okay, it's got 2 kilometers left, you know, you should be getting over a lane. You got 1.5 or 1 kilometer left, get over another lane. You know, 500 meters left, get in the final lane into the turning lane. Kind of set yourself up for success like that. What it was doing before was that it would get into the far lane ahead of time, but again, probably poor map data, not sure. It would get into the correct lane and then get back out of the lane and then get back in the correct lane again. Very odd behavior. Let's see what it does this time and if it's kind of corrected that behavior. But I mean, I'm already stoked over some key known issues that I've had before that have been fixed, of just something I've had to live with FSD. I mean, this is great. This is a bold move for it as it senses that traffic's getting slow. It got frustrated and got into the fast lane, but the fast lane is an HOV lane, which, you know, usually you have to have so many passengers. Here in Ontario, if you have an electric car, you have access to the HOV lane, so that's good. But how do you get out of the HOV lane in time to take this, you know, 1 kilometer in 1 kilometer exit? It's not going to be able to do it. I mean, I know it's not going to be able to do it because it has to cross these 2 solid lines, which is illegal. You can't cross. So hopefully it goes through, reroutes us, and kind of we go from there. So before an FSD, it would take us to the far right and play this kind of lane change trickery confusion. Now it's gone and got more assertive and put us in the fast lane. Yeah, we kind of have police behind us as well. So I needed to get over to the right lane. I'm going to manually tell it to get over a lane due to this police. And yeah, I'm gonna make sure it gets off here. Okay, I think it's getting the hint here. It has recalculated. It's still got 900 meters. I would love to see quicker getting over, but I mean, it's doing it. As we come up to our exit here, I'm going to go back to doing the speed limit.
Now take exit 139 on the right.
You see the slow down chevrons. That's nice. That's nice to see. It looks nice. It looks sharp.
In 200 meters, turn left onto Canada Avenue.
So yes, we did miss our exit. It did not
Now turn left.
break the law in order to make or to fix its mistake. And because we had police right behind us, like, yes, perfect. Just like a human being, if you miss your exit, just go to the next exit. Don't try and cross all these lanes illegally and mess up everyone. We all mess up sometimes. We all miss our turns. It is what it is. Just, you know, carry on safely. There's other people on the road here. So Tesla made a mistake. I deem it a mistake. And it corrected it. It corrected it properly, which is very important to see. right, interesting scenario here. Yes, we have a red light, but then we also have tons of kids. We have volunteers out with their handheld stop signs. Now you can see the volunteers, but you can't see the stop signs, which is interesting. I would like for it to register the stop signs, because even if this light was green, it can't go. Okay, it did that safely. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It felt very confident there. Zero hesitation, zero kind of like little kind of jankiness. That was smooth. That was smooth. Light turned green, and it recognized that there was a family or a mother and daughter, you know, kind of maybe was going to commit to the lane, but then was hand signaled by the volunteer with the stop sign to not, and they turned back, and the Tesla waited for him and waited for that to play out, which is beautiful. Can't have it like this gap and it be like, gotta go through the gap. Not when people are involved, which it didn't do. It prioritized pedestrians and humans differently than it would have cars and vehicles on the roads. Beautiful. Love to see it. Yeah, I think we're coming up to our destination here. I'm gonna let it finish. It's just a random parking lot, and then I'm gonna take it back. Specifically in the route that I like to take, and there's a very challenging kind of off-ramp scenario that it's never been able to do ever for me on FSD. So I'll be super pumped if now my return trip is also fixed. Again, I don't want to get my hopes up. It's never been able to complete that. I've always had to take over. Again, maybe it's faulty map data or old map data, at which point, you know, it's not the FSD's fault. But man, I mean, so far I'm super pumped. This is exciting. This is great. So if it could do that, that's the cherry on the top for the day. All right, it's going to want to do this. I'm going to end the trip. I'm going to say go home. Hopefully recalculates not too. Wow, it did that real quick.
Now turn left onto Eagleson Road.
Yeah, it recalculated real quick there. Okay, make sure the route's okay. Make sure it's the Carling exit that I want to get off of. Is that Carling? I'm not sure. No, that's not. No, the exit I want is this one here. So, hold on.
Now turn left onto Eagleson
this
Road.
one. Yeah. You're okay, Tesla. There you go. That's the one I want. Okay. Off we go. I mean, that was impressive too, how quickly it recalculated everything. It was going to come in. I had it set just to that parking lot of that little strip mall that was there. Just a random destination in the area. And, you know, maybe like 50 meters before that, I asked it to recalculate. And it did it without any kind of jankiness. Beautiful. All right, it's gonna have to get over a couple lane changes here to be able to get on the highway. It's done one. And it's ready, it's keying up the next one, as you can see. mid intersection lane change, you gotta love it. I've had some issues with this on-ramp before. I wanna say a lot of the issues is the transition from FSD to autopilot in the old ways. Now that it's full stack FSD, hopefully that's a non-issue now. Give you guys back full vision. I mean, very smooth. It's doing the speed limits. I'm gonna give it some juice here. just let it go so I could speed up quicker. It's still registering as 60 being the max for the on-ramp. You know, you gotta go faster than that when you're gonna merge onto a highway. It'd be interesting. Yeah, okay, there it goes. So now it's registered as highway. Transition happens smoothly. Running out of lane here. It commits no turn signal, but it did do it. Again, I would have loved to see it, you know, not use the whole turn lane. It could have turned sooner than that instead of riding the turn line. Makes it a bit awkward. And as a driver experience, you know, you're kind of like, is it gonna do it? Do I have to take over? But no, it did it. Nice lane change when it senses that, you know, that lane was going slower than what I have it set to. I only have it to 5 over. I'm just going to boost it up a little bit here. Nobody drives the speed limit in Ottawa. Just doesn't happen. But yeah, so it sensed that, you know, that lane was going slightly slower. Oh, I say that as a police goes right past us again. Man, a lot of police today. Yeah, so it's nice to see that it senses that that lane is not going the speed that I want it. This guy has a bag of chains hanging off. That could fall on the highway and do a lot of damage. Anyways, yeah, so it's got a very nice flow to it on the highways with lane changes and what it wants to do. A vast improvement over autopilot, I would say. Yes, I've only done this. This is my first test of it. More testing is going to be needed. But just first impressions of version 11 full stack on highways, it is a lot smoother. Like a lot smoother. It feels more confident. It gives me more confidence in it because of how smooth it is and how confident it is in its decision making. A lot of issues. I mean, the issue that we saw earlier, excuse me, in the video of it getting into the HOV lane before its lane changes coming up. You know, part of it makes me wonder is because I had it set to going 25 over, maybe a bit of overlap there in the sense of like, okay, you know, the driver's telling the FSD to go way over on what should be fast lane speeds, so we're going to get over into the fast lane because the driver wants to get in the fast lane. Okay, so it did that, and then it kind of screwed itself over because now it's in the HOV lane and has to cross double white lines in order to correct itself, which it couldn't do. So I would have, you know, I would love for it to get to a point where it knows that's an HOV lane and that there's a turn lane coming up or an exit coming up that it needs to take to kind of put one and one together and never get in that HOV lane. But yeah, part of it makes me wonder of why it got in that HOV lane in the first place, and it could be my fault that I told it to go fast and it went fast and put itself in that scenario. That'll be interesting. I'll definitely do more testing where, you know, I hit that section at a lower speed, and maybe because we're at a lower speed, it doesn't feel the pressure to get over. Right now, it's just kind of chilling in the fast lane, going 120. We have some cars behind us. Traffic's not too crazy. I would have loved to see it, you know, get over and not be in the fast lane when there's no kind of cars around us. It's doing that now. The turn is coming up. I like to see that. It's predicting the turn coming up. I'm gonna slow it down here and give it the best chance moving forward for this lane change coming up. Yeah, you got to get over the lane. Good job. 1.4 kilometers till the turn. Now here's where I would get the problem before. It would not make this last turn, or this last lane change, and because of that, it would miss basically the off-ramp. So we got 700 meters before it. I would love to see it get into that turn lane or one lane over. It doesn't look like it's gonna do it. Come on, Tesla. You can get over. You got a lane change coming up. Oh, yeah.
Now take exit 1.
One more. Oh, yes. It did it. That is amazing. It fixed it. Yes. Okay, so like every time before that, I knew in my back of my head I could never have a flawless FSD drive because I knew it was not going to make that turn. And it did it. Ecstatic. I am ecstatic right now. It fixed it. All right. Before I get too excited here, it needs to make a challenging turn here. This is challenging on the best of days as a human. It needs to make all these left-hand turns real quick, real confusing. Like, it's not gonna be able to do it because it needs to get over one more. So the correct measure is, as soon as you come off of Carling exit, you have to fully commit, 4 lanes or 3 lanes, 1, 2, 3, yeah. You have to fully commit 3 lanes over in order for it to work. It needs to get in the left-hand turn lane. It's not gonna do it here unless I hold up traffic. No. Okay, don't start a traffic jam here. Okay, it realized its mistake and it's correcting it, recalculating. Okay, good. That's what I like to see. It was unable to make the maneuver. The only way to make that maneuver is to, as soon as you get off, cross all 3 lanes, and be very strong about it. And that's the only way to kind of make that happen, especially when there's traffic kind of backed up. You really have to make that turn real quick. It didn't do it that time. I will obviously, that's a very prominent section for myself on a daily commute. So I will obviously have many more times to test that in better scenarios, worse scenarios, stuff like that. But that time I was unable to do it. It has to recalculate. You know, no harm, no foul. Again, like we talked about before, if you miss your exit or miss your turn, don't like stop and screw up traffic here. And that's exactly what Tesla was able to do in the good way of like try, attempt, best attempt, but it couldn't do it, and carried on. Didn't hold up traffic. Maybe ever so slightly to try and see if somebody would let us in. It didn't happen. We are correcting. Let's see where it's trying to go now. Okay, interesting on the way it recalculated. So because it has the map data, again, because of this construction on the bridge like we had at the beginning of the video, everything's all backed up, super backed up. And you can see here on this map data, like this color coded on how bad the traffic is. We have red is bad, orange is not so bad, and maroon is like stop and go. So it decided to recalculate. Recalculate away from this maroon, when I would have assumed it would have made that left turn sooner. Had it not been maroon, it would have probably, made that turn way back here and got on this route. But because of that maroon, it decided to go this way to avoid it. At least that's what I'm seeing of what it did. And I mean, that's amazing. Recalculation on the fly with traffic data. Love it. Great. Man, I'm super pumped that it got off that off ramp. It has not once been able to get off that off ramp, and it just did it. First try. Man, love it. Yes, yes. Pumped. I'm pumped. Great. Okay, well that was an interesting scenario there. Hold on. Somebody ran a red light that didn't have priority on their turn and had to take over as they were not going to stop. Okay, so wow, what a series of events. I'll have to slow that down in editing. But we had the green light, advanced green light. Somebody had ran the red light in front of us. The Tesla reacted to that and slowed down to allow this red light runner to complete their turn. And then upon making that turn, somebody ran the red light to turn right into our lane, and I had to take over there. I'm surprised the Tesla didn't stop or try to avoid that and required a takeover. I mean, I ruined the streak of the no takeover drive, man. That sucks. But yeah, I did have to take over there as that guy was not going to stop. I'll have to look back and see kind of what the Tesla's reaction on that was, and if it threw up that car as being red or not. Yeah. Interesting. Interesting that it didn't stop for that. Would it have just crashed in that car? I mean, I would love to say no, but it required a takeover regardless. Carrying on though, a lot of red light runners. Perfect. People with no patience. Alright, kids are starting to get out of school here, so a lot more pedestrians, a lot more for FSD to look at. So it doesn't seem to be making people blue anymore when it's of interest. It just seems to, yeah, just make them more black and prominent. Before, in the last FSD, if something was blue, that would basically signal to you of like what it's really paying attention to. Like the traffic lights are blue because it's really honing in on that right now. But for pedestrians, it doesn't make them blue anymore. It just makes them deeper black. Alright, that's nice too. You can see the tentacle move around because it sensed that these cars were parked on the road. Which it makes the cars that are parked very low detail, very light gray. And anything else that's kind of moving is higher detail, deeper grays. Up to the point where it's like almost black. Interesting the choices of the UI and the colors that it applies on version 11. Alright, so ideally I would love to see it go around this car in front of us who's making a left-hand turn. Kind of like this truck behind us is doing. But, I mean, it's doing it safely. Yeah, some people it's moving blue, some people it's black. Yeah, I have to pay attention to that to see kind of what it's kind of thinking here. Different layers of detail, different layers of caring about, of priority. Interesting. So we're kind of hitting like rush hour traffic here. It's kind of 3:30, school's out. You can see all the red, maroon, lots of traffic going on here. And the way that, you know, without construction on the bridge we'd go is just deep maroon. So I still think we're going the right way. I still think it's the right move. Again, we gotta go straight, so I would love to see it go around this car and not wait for it to make a left-hand turn. Doesn't seem to know how to kind of do that here in this scenario. I'd imagine eventually it'll kind of hit its frustration point and do it, but right now it just seems content with what it's doing, and I mean, it's safe, so I'm content with it as well. We have some sirens coming. What is that? Ambulance? Okay. See if it identifies an ambulance. It just says it's a truck. Okay. Yeah, see, this person's blue. It really cares about those people. But then it stops caring about those people. Cool. Alright, so this car needs to commit to its left-hand turn. It hasn't now for, a whole cycle of lights. And we've just kind of been stuck behind it because of it. There we go. And now it decides to do some kind of trying to get around movement. That was odd. But, whatever. It did it. Did it safely. Carrying on. Interesting scenario here of this person, like, what are you doing? Yeah, I like how he threw up the hand sign and be like, thank you for letting me in. I didn't let you in, FSD let you in. Thank Tesla.
In 200 meters, turn right onto Scott Street.
Which kind of brings up a kind of weird point that I've been thinking about. Slightly related, slightly unrelated. But, in the future, when a lot more cars are self-driving, robo-taxi is a thing, all that stuff. How many human drivers are going to just know that cars are going to stop for them because, it's a self-driving car. It's designed like if a car gets in the way, it's going to stop. It's going to like let people in when it shouldn't, or a human driver won't let them in. Yeah, how many people are going to take advantage of that? How many people are going to be, assholes for lack of a better term, and just like last minute try and get in because it knows, oh, there's a Tesla robo-taxi, and I know that if I go in and poke my nose in its way, that car's going to stop, let me in, not even honk. It's just going to let me in. Right? I could see that kind of being this weird transitional future period of just like the mixture of human drivers and self-driving car and kind of how they interact together. Oh, yeah, beautiful. Okay, so it was gonna commit to the turn, but it saw the pedestrians on both sides. See, they're blue, so it, yeah, okay, so it cares. And then you get demoted to black if it cares about you less, and then it goes full on gray when it's just like, yeah. It is, yeah, cool.
Now turn left onto Parkdale Avenue.
Yeah, so obviously because these people are in the path, the tentacle path, it's like you're blue, I care. Like it was before, like in the last FSDs, it was just blue and it was care and not care. But now they've kind of added in a gradient to it with this black color. Interesting. Waiting for the gap. It needs to go here. Okay, it committed. It waited a little longer than it needed to on that red. Light turned orange or yellow, and it should have committed then. It had already committed to the intersection, so it needed to turn, but it wasn't until the last minute. Guy behind us was expecting to be able to go as well, so he honked at us, but it did it, and he committed as well. Whoa! What was that? Car tried to put us into a barrier. takeover required there as it
200 meters. Keep left to take
as the car kind of just ignored the construction and tried to basically put us in a barrier. That is obviously a terrible takeover to have. Again, beta testing. I'm here to take over. That was close though. That was a bit scary. But you know, carrying on. Nice smooth turn onto here, onto the parkway. This is a interesting merge as you really don't have a lot of lane to merge into. People are letting us in. That's nice. 60 is the speed limit, okay? And your lane ends, so you got to get over here, Tesla. Don't curb me. Yeah, okay, good job. Yeah, it really likes to take the full merge lanes. Like, it doesn't want to merge out of it early for some reason. Really wants to take the full advantage. I mean, if you have the gap, use the gap. Why put yourself in a scenario where you're like, okay, I need to merge, so I'm going to get in the merge lane and I'm going to use the merge lane to its entirety, and then as you come up to the end point, now you're scanning for gaps? It seems like you're setting yourself up for disaster with that one, because there could be a car there. You could have come in, had a gap, but you decided not to because you want to use the full merge lane, so now this other car moves up. Now you're just kind of screwed. You just can't. So what are you going to do? Slam on your brakes at that point? Yeah, I don't know. If there's a gap, use it. Oh yeah, sweet traffic here. Okay, so like, hopefully it registers that this is traffic, and hopefully it doesn't get frustrated by the speed and try and get over a lane, because this is the lineup to get onto the bridge. So I'm going to be ready to take over in case it's just had enough and tries to sneak out of it. Yeah. That being said, and I've said it before in past videos, but I mean, it's going to sound lame to say, but this scenario is probably one of the best selling points for FSD, or even on the highways, just basic autopilot, is the kind of rush hour traffic jam gridlock scenario. And you just kind of, you know, bling bling, set it, and yeah, you just forget it. Like, traffic jam is mind-numbing at the best of times. So if you can just kind of remove yourself from that with a little flick of the stock here, I mean, that's great. I don't have to pay attention at all in traffic scenarios. All right, we had a camera overheat there. Cut out. Welcome back to more mind-numbing traffic. So if you notice a weird transition, that's what it was. Yeah, because the camera's hot, I think it's just going to keep giving me camera hot. It'll probably cut me off here any minute. But so I'll quickly kind of wrap up kind of my feelings on it. Obviously, there are tons of improvements already that I've noticed in just a single drive. Known issues that I've had and actively, you know, kind of avoid or just make me not want to have FSD or autopilot on, because I know it's not going to make that exit or do something weird unless I'm doing, you know, a video for testing purposes. The fact that that's fixed now is a huge quality of life change for myself, even when I'm not filming. Now I feel more comfortable to just have FSD on a daily kind of commute, which is fantastic. That being said, clearly there were some issues there, some pretty large issues there, with one, you know, with that car, you know, we almost hit the car. Would the FSD have stopped? I want to say yes. I've never really had FSD get that close to a car before, hence my need to take over. And then obviously the one where it just out of nowhere, you know, yanked the steering wheel and tried to put me in a barrier, concrete barrier. That one was kind of way out of the blue and unexpected. Yeah. And then, you know, slight fix would be also on top of that, this bridge construction. We saw how it slowed way down in the construction. Speed limit in the construction there, I mean, it's very narrow, was 40, I believe. And it was doing like 20, under 20, 18 or something, I think I saw. So you can't have that, especially like, you imagine all the people's frustration here that don't have, you know, autopilot, self-driving features and have been sitting here, you know, gas, brake, gas, brake, gas, brake. Like, they're frustrated. They want to get home. They don't want to be behind a car doing 18 in a 40, right? So I will, if it slows down again, I will accelerate through it. And yeah, but I mean, all that being said, a lot more testing needed. There's some spots that I specifically also, again, still want to visit, other spots of known issues. And then obviously for me, my big one is my roundabout hell video. If you haven't, go back and look at my roundabout hell video. It's just pure torture. I bring it there just to torture it. I've paused bringing the FSD there until version 11. We have version 11 now. We're gonna put it through the torture. We're gonna bring it back to roundabout hell. In case you don't know, it's 4 roundabouts back to back to back to back, not in a straight line. It's like you got to kind of go in one and then another one. It's just a mess of infrastructure. I don't know who the hell designed that. It's terrible. But we'll bring it there. We'll see if there's any improvements with roundabouts in general. Yeah, it'll be fun. So stick around for that. With that being said, I'm just gonna, you know, bring it home myself, push it through this construction. And yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. And I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.